Welcome aboard the Salty Pearl, lads. Today, we plunder the catacombs.
Let's get salty!
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 28 of the Salty Dog Podcast. I'm Clash, he's Dookie, and we are your salty captains.
Ahoy there!
Arr! It be here!
Y'all ready to do some plundering of cave-like proportions?
And cave-like creatures.
All the cave-related things are happening.
Definitely.
Now.
No
Kobolds and
kobolds.
Catacombs. It's here.
No kobolds taken alive. Here we go. Let's dive
Fuck
right
those
in.
guys.
So, how have you been feeling about this new expansion so far?
Fine, I guess. I didn't pre-order, and neither did you, as you've told me. So I opened. How many free packs total were there?
I believe there were 9 because I remember I was a little shocked because the most recent Tavern Brawl gave
give you
a classic pack.
Yeah.
Instead of a Kobolds pack, which I'm wondering if that was a mess up because 10 sounds so much better than 9, right? Like if we had gotten 4 from Tavern Brawls and then 3 when you log in, 3 from the dungeon run. It's a nice even 10.
Yeah.
But,
I was shook when that happened.
Yeah, I was like, did I accidentally buy a classic pack or something? That was the
I was like,
reward.
Blizzard, you being real stingy right now. So that means since I bought 27 and I opened 9, or I bought with gold 27 and I opened 9, so I opened 36, and I got a lot of legendaries. I think I got 4 or 5. I got an insane legendary rate.
Yeah, and one of them was golden too. You gotta tell them about that.
One of them was golden Linessa Sunseeker, the Paladin legendary. And
yeah,
I mean, that was definitely my best pull. I mean, even without it being golden, because no matter what the expansion is, no matter how bad the legendaries are, I always craft the Paladin legendaries. I have every Paladin legendary in the game thus far, and I will never dust any of them.
Haven't you opened a lot of them too? Like
I opened most of them.
That's what I thought.
I opened Bolvar, Eadric the Pure, Linessa, obviously. I'm trying to think. I opened Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. But I know I like crafted Tyrion, and then I opened him after that because that was before that couldn't happen. And I think I crafted Quest for the Kaleidosaur thing.
Right.
But anyway, so I crafted Valinir immediately because that's like my rule at this point. It's just like before anything else, I have to have all Paladin legendaries.
Right.
But
standard.
My free legendary weapon was the fucking Warlock one, so I was pretty mad about that.
Right, because even
not
if
that any of them are great.
Yeah, well, even if the Warlock one does end up seeing play, it's going to be in a deck that you would never play, so it's literally not going to ever get used.
That thing might be dust.
But then, the thing, ever since they changed it, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great change, and it only helps the game, but it always makes me think twice about dusting legendaries that I know I'll never use, because then I can open that legendary again.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
pull it. You might pull it.
Yeah. So,
but other than my pack opening, I haven't played ladder or even player versus player much. I've spent the vast majority of my time doing dungeon run.
Right.
Which I find to be, well, my opinion of it is slowly deteriorating as I work through the classes. But my first dungeon run was as Paladin, and I got to the final guy on my first try, and I almost won. I feel like if I had been taking it more seriously, I would have won.
Right.
Because everything up to that felt easy. And then, so eventually, I did that pretty fast with Paladin, and then Mage was next, and that ended up being much more challenging. I tried a lot of things. I tried, your spells cost 1 less, you have +3 spell damage, and, like, just, like, trying to be just, like, fucking fire slinging without any recourse, just kill you. But eventually, that you lose value because you start running out of firepower. And then the next thing I tried, which got me closer, was the like Giants package that it offers you. So I had the thing that makes all your minions that cost 5 or more cost 5, and tons of spells. So my Arcane Giants and my Molten Giants were just always free, and Echo of Medivh was in there, and Mirror Entity, the one that gives you Duplicate was in there.
2 of one of the okay.
Simulacrum was in there. So it was all about just like flooding my board with huge giant. I had Emperor Thaurissan to reduce costs even more, and I sent you a screenshot, and it was a board of 7, 8 giants. And I did not win that one either. I finally cleared a dungeon run with Mage by making a Highlander, Reno, Kazakis, Inkmaster Soila, the whole package. I was careful to never get any duplicates when I was offered cards.
Yeah.
And I eventually won with that, and Reno and Kazakis absolutely saved my ass on multiple battles. So
that makes sense
to be the way to go for Mage. And then I'm stuck on Warrior, and that, like, I'm losing to like the 4th or 5th boss like regularly, and it's really pathetic, and I don't know what to do at this point. So
I can't tell you anything because I've only tried it with a couple classes, have not actually cleared a full run yet. I got close. I was doing great with Mage. I was not doing the Highlander thing. I got a few of the fire ones that were like fireballs and firelance portals and stuff, and then I got just a couple of other random ones. But I had some really great spells like flame strikes, and I got the legendary treasure to take a second turn and stuff, and I was just tearing through people. And then I just about had this, like, it was like my 6th boss or something. I just about had him under control. He plays a Sneed's piloted shredder, which, that Goblins versus Gnomes 5/7 death rattle, summon a legendary minion. So he attacks in, kills something of mine, and summons Kel'Thuzad, which is the Naxxramas legendary 6/8 that resummons every minion that died that turn. So the Sneeds trades in, summons Kel'Thuzad resummons Sneeds, and then you basically, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, that's GG right there.
That really tilted me, and just like there's a lot of random stuff like that can happen in those runs. Just like no matter what you had in your deck, and no matter how well you were playing, there's no way you're gonna win. My overall opinion of Dungeon Run, like, I'm not gonna pass final judgment on it, especially since I haven't had a whole lot of time to play the game, period, since Kobolds came out, which is sad. I've had all this crap going on, but I just, like, there's no reward for the struggle. I mean, other than the fact that it's challenging, and I respect and, like, appreciate a challenge, and definitely will seek it out if I'm feeling like that. But I mean, there is no way that I would have beat Lich King 9 times if there wasn't a reward after it. The Arthas. I have no idea why there isn't. Like, that was such a good model to have, defeat the thing that we added, the solo player adventure 9 times, each with the unique classes, and get, like, a cool reward, a hero, a card back, something that would just, like, drive you to want to do it. And that's, I think, the main thing. I mean, I did the 3 quests that, you don't even have to clear a dungeon run to get the 3 packs out of it. You just got to keep killing the bosses, whether you're restarting it or not. And I almost have no drive to play it anymore now.
Is it, like, totally confirmed that if you clear it with all 9 classes that you get nothing?
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything saying that there's some sort of deeper reward.
They when you beat it with a class, they put like a crown on that class.
Oh, really?
And that makes me feel like if you can beat it with all of them, then like why isn't there just like a card back?
I don't know. I mean, maybe
Like,
I'm wrong.
just
I never heard
something.
anything about a reward. But
like
yeah.
if we don't know about it, like if we haven't, we read the news, like at least weekly, and if we haven't seen anything about it, then there's probably nothing. But at the same time, I've always enjoyed adventures,
right,
as ways to release content, and this is basically an adventure with tons of replay value, because not only is it difficult to get not only is it difficult to get through with one particular class, but there are 9 classes, and each one of them feels different and plays out differently. Like when I got the time I almost beat it with Paladin and the time I did beat it with Paladin, I felt like a god. Like,
right.
My hero power, I got my hero power to be 1 mana, summon 2 Silverhand recruits, and then I went with the whole like Silverhand recruit package. So I was using like level up on them a lot, and I had a Vine Cleaver, and like there was nothing they could do. Like if they wiped my board, it was 7 minions again the next turn.
Right.
Like it was just value. So
yeah, it's interesting that you went that route with it, because in the final reveal stream that they had, I don't think you got to watch it, but they ended up capping off the stream with 2 dungeon runs. It was Ben Brode and Day 9 were doing the stream, and he did that exact thing. He got the Justicar's ring as his first treasure, and Brode was like making fun of him. He's like, really? Like, that's what you pick out of those like awesome treasures? You take that one? And it totally just wrecked the whole dungeon run. So.
It's so good. Like, don't have a turn 1 play, fucking 2 1/1s. Have a spare mana on any given turn, 2 1/1s. Like, it's. I mean, you just have
you can infinite copies of the card Alley Cat, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, alley cats that you don't have to play from your hand. So that was nuts. And the time I won with Mage, God, it was the Highlander thing. So I can't even say that I had any like insane gimmicks. I don't remember what my artifacts were that time.
Honestly, it's kind of like Arena at a certain point. You just need to try to minimize the amount of bad cards they're forcing on you. Because I have a rogue run going right now, and I think I'm about to fight the last boss. My deck's really good, but I have a Lucky Do Buccaneer in that deck. And I swear, that's such a terrible card, and I swear whenever you end up with one bad card in your deck, it like in Arena or something like that, it always haunts you. And like in my 7th boss, which is pretty tough, I used Mimic Pod, and it was Lucky Do Buccaneer, and I was like, you always gotta show up and just like show me that you're still in the deck, like ruining the deck.
So he still haunted you.
Yeah, he's still haunting
to the very end.
I feel like he's gonna throw game 8 for me. Like, I'm gonna top deck him when I could top deck Lethal or something, and he's gonna be like, I'm still here.
Yeah. Mine in my deck that I won with, mine was Goblin Blast Mage.
Yeah, that's really good.
Which was such a weird thing for them to offer me, because there was not a mech in sight.
Oh, so I mean, it's still not a bad card, 4 mana 5/4, but that's not great.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But there are I think there's 5 final bosses that you can fight.
Yeah.
And the one I beat with Paladin was the Beholder, that has like all these different kinds of lasers. And then the one I beat with Mage was this big demon, and he basically, the idea is he's eating your deck, so he burns 3 cards off your deck every single turn, and I ended up Elising so that I could stop from fatiguing, and then Golden Monkeying to turn everything in my hand into better stuff.
There's definitely some crazy like combinations of cards in there that you can get, and the treasures are what really makes it super cool to me, because obviously those are unique to the dungeon run, and they're really powerful. I kind of wish you got a treasure between every boss. That way it felt, a little more like you were getting to interact with these like rare cards.
Yeah, but they wouldn't feel as special if you got them.
I don't know, man. Just ramp up the difficulty even like higher and faster on the mobs and make you need them.
just make it more high roll.
More high roll, definitely. No, those passives aren't very high roll. Like when you get the individual cards, those are kind of high roll because there's just one in your deck. But the passives I really like. Upgrading your hero power, and the spell damage, stuff like that. Yeah, it's really
the passives are definitely my favorite. Like,
right.
And it definitely varies depending on the class. Like, when I'm playing warrior and I get offered spell damage +3, your battle cries trigger twice and your death rattles trigger twice, or your hero power costs 1 and is upgraded, I'm just like, these are not good for warrior. Like, I want one mana weapons. That's what I want.
I mean, one mana for 4 armor is good, but
I mean, that's good and all, but it is nowhere near anywhere close to the realm of how good 1 mana for 2 1/1s is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
because armor's just armor,
Armor is just armor. Those truer words have never been spoken.
It's just.
You could get some armor synergy in one of the buckets or whatever of cards.
I try, and I don't know. Warrior has just been really rough.
Maybe you've been getting the short end of the stick there, but
because every time I get the 1 mana weapons passive, they don't offer me weapons ever.
That's funny.
I'm just like, I don't know. My best run with warrior, my passive was give your minions +1/+1 twice. So. Everything I threw out was super broken.
Wow. They were like double Keleseth.
What? What even killed me? I didn't even get to the last guy. Something... Oh, yeah. Yeah, this deck, I had a lot of Enrage, and I had 2 Rot Faces, and I had a lot of deal 1 damage to everything cards. Like I had Death Spike.
Oh, like whirlwinds and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of whirlwind effects. And what it ended up getting me in the end was a Sylvanas.
Oh, wow.
Just came down, and I was like, well, everything I have is amazing. So, and then she ended up taking my +2/+2 already enraged Grom.
Oh, jeez, charge, damn.
So that sucked.
Yeah, there's some broken stuff that can happen in that, especially since it's wild and you're playing with those treasures and the bosses have those insane hero powers. I would just say that try not to. I mean, you have no control over it, but you do not want to end up facing that pirate guy when he shows up as one of the later bosses, because bosses can show up at different points, and they are different levels of strength. And there's the pirate guy who normally, if you face him earlier on, he has to pay 1 and he can give a minion charge. That becomes a free passive that gives every minion that he plays charge. And I was playing Priest, and I was like, I can outlast this. He's just going to charge a bunch of minions into my face. I can live. I've got Reno. I did Reno. And I was like, I'm just going to run him out. But then he's got all these cards for reloading, like Genzo the Shark and just some random stuff like that. That wind-up Burglebot. Like, he runs stuff in, just keep drawing. And he actually managed to outvalue me as a priest. And I'm just like, this is stupid. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm obviously going to take more cracks at it. But we should talk about some of the new cards as well.
Indeed.
So, I don't know if I've spent most of the time that I've had to play, which again, it hasn't been much, but actually doing Constructed, but you haven't really done much, right?
I have played a total of 4 games.
4 games of Constructed, all right, and they were all Paladin, I'm assuming.
Yep, they were all Paladin.
Well, the first thing that I did is I hopped in and tried out some Miracle Rogue. I made, just your standard shell with all the zero-cost spells and the gadgets and auctioneer, but I threw in the Kingsbane, which I opened, which I was happy about because I really wanted to test that out, and the Faldorei Striders, the 4/4 that shuffles the ambushes into your deck, and you get spiders. And that went pretty well. Kingsbane is not performing in the deck as well as I thought it was going to. It's really like heavily dependent on sequencing, and if you manage to land that deadly poison on the Kingsbane, and then after you break it, if you've got the card to draw it back out, the 3/1 that battle cries to pull it back out of your deck. And if you don't have it when you need it, then it's just a bad card because it's just a 2-mana 3/1. So it's kind of weird. I've definitely won some games with it, and I think it could be refined and everything. But overall, I would say the legendaries of this set are a little underwhelming as just as a whole. I think there's some. I
agree.
Yeah, completely. I think there's some really good common, rare, and epic cards, but the legendaries are a little underpowered in general.
I can't think of a single one that's like, yeah, damn, I need that. Aside from like just getting the paladin ones for myself, but yeah, there's nothing. Nothing stands out to me. Everything has, I think, its application, which, maybe that's how legendaries should be. Is very powerful in a certain situation, but not like Dr. Boom, where it's like even when this has negative synergy with your deck, you still put it in because it's so fucking broken.
Right.
So
I agree with that. But then there's just a bunch of legendaries that aren't getting played at all, like that really don't have an application. We're gonna take a look at some, really preliminary deck lists that are going around on Ladder. Streamers have been playing, and just in general the most played decks these first 2 days into the expansion. And you'll see that a lot of them, I would say a majority of them, are not running any Kobolds legendaries. And honestly, probably just a handful, like 3, 4, 5 Kobolds cards total. So I think what this set really did, and I mentioned this in our last episode before it came out, is really just came in with a few cards that just slightly strengthened already established archetypes. I mean, we have seen brand new archetypes come out of this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Spell Hunter is kind of the phenomenon of this set at this point. Everyone's, this is one of the most represented decks on Ladder at the current moment, and it seems to be doing really well. We're going to take a look at that. But in general, I mean, we've seen a Dragon Priest come back a little bit, but even I think the most popular version of Dragon Priest is a Razakis archetype. So again, that's just one that got strengthened. We're still seeing Jades going around with Druid and stuff. So I think this kind of so far has had like a smaller impact on the meta than the last two we've seen, which makes sense because this is entering into when the card pool is the biggest. It's at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you can expect it to have the smaller effect. But I'm not really regretting not pre-ordering this set personally, just because there isn't much that I feel like I've got to have right now.
Right, same. Yeah, definitely.
So, but we are going to take a look at some decks and just talk a little bit more about all of this and how it's shaking up the meta and stuff. So let's hop over to the new segment and take a look at this stuff.
All right.
What's happening?
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Time is money, friend. Keep it quick, kid. I ain't got all day.
All right, so first up here, I want to take a look at this, which is taken directly from the metastats.net website, which is a Hearthstone metadata gathering website. And as you can see there, it's using data from the last 4 days, but it's also filtered down to just have Kobolds and Catacombs data, so it's really just the last 2. And the top 10 decks, as far as most successful, are the Spell Hunter at number 1, which that's a pretty big shocker to me.
Interesting.
And following that is Tempo Rogue. But we'll take a look at these each individually. So let's pull up Spell Hunter here first. And you can see that they're using some cards that I would have never expected. You see the Candle Shot, the 1-mana 1/3 immune while attacking. That's not really something that I would have seen coming in. But it made it in there somehow.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense for, having those, little bits of damage to finish off stuff. It obviously synergizes with Hunter's Mark, which both of these are just one-ofs. But you could get a little combo in there with that. But obviously this deck is going to have no minions in it so that it can activate stuff like To My Side. You can see down here, which summons 2 animal companions if you have no minions.
And it's 6 mana?
Yes, it's 6 mana.
So that card's weird. What is it? Just animal companion if you have minions?
Yes, it's a 6 mana animal companion if there's a minion in your deck. But obviously this deck doesn't have any.
You'd never run that.
Yeah, you would never run it at all. This is cut off a little bit here on the bottom, but so I'll just run down the list. You got Tracking, Cat Trick, Explosive Trap, Flare, Freezing Trap. And we were kind of talking about this when we were trying to theory craft this idea last episode, where secrets come into play a lot to help you with your early game. Even Wandering Monsters in here, just another secret in there to take a hit for you in the early game. Then you got Animal Companion, Deadly Shot, Eagle Horn Bow, Kill Command, Flanking Strike, which is an incredible card that we didn't actually get to talk about because this came out after we did our last show. So, I mean, this is that Battlecry Elemental, the Phoenix Elemental, only it deals 1 more damage than the Elemental does. This is a great card. 4 mana, deal 3.
That's a good card.
Yeah, 4 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion and summon a 3/3 wolf.
You get a beast.
Yeah, it's a beast, and it's a spell, so it works in this archetype. It's an incredible card. This is probably the card that is making this possible. This whole archetype here possible.
Yeah.
It's got the Spellstone. Again, more beasts that are summoned from a spell. The Death Knight, Deathstalker Rexar, that's how you start to get the minions and the value in the late game, because you're just creating minions from your hero power. To My Side, which is that one that we just talked about, it's cut off there on the bottom, but it says summon an animal companion or 2 if your deck has no minions, so it's a mini Call of the Wild. Then you have Rock Delar, the Hunter legendary weapon, which battle cries to fill your hand with Hunter spells. If, again, you have no minions. And then finally, Call of the Wild, of course, because Call of the Wild's crazy. So, this deck actually topping the charts here as far as the most successful played decks since the set has come out, which...
That's interesting.
Never would have guessed it.
Yeah, and that's the legendary weapon you got, right?
I did. So I think I am going to try this. I think I have every one of these cards except for maybe an epic or 2 in here. So I'm gonna take a crack at it.
Yeah, dude.
So up next, what's that?
No, I was just gonna say it looks like a fun deck. Like
it does.
Very, very unique. It's not even the fact that it's minionless. It's still not a control deck.
Right.
There's still ways that this deck pumps out minions, like on curve and stuff.
Yeah, you honestly start hitting curve in that deck on 3, which isn't even that bad. I mean, you got Animal Companion, then moving right into the Flanking Strike, and then straight into To My Side. So you've got things in here.
And if you if you manage to play one of your secrets that summons a minion, which there are a lot of in that deck, then you're already getting minions, turn 2. So
yeah, the Wandering Monster does help.
Yeah.
So the second most successful deck of the Kobolds and Catacombs here is Tempo Rogue, which you can see. No Kingsbane, no even what's the new 3 mana legendary Sun Shadow or something. No, that's
Monica Lewinsky or something.
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky definitely is the name. No, the 3 mana 2/2 that gives basically all your minions Death Rattle return to your hand, and as a 1 mana 1/1. Not in here. As far as Kobolds cards, you're pretty much looking at a pretty standard Tempo Rogue with a couple of additions. You have the Cavern Shiny Finder, which isn't in there to pull out Kingsbane, which is pretty much the reason it was made, probably. It's there just to pull out the Shadow Blades. Interestingly enough, it's actually running Runeforge Haunter, which is like a create your own Kingsbane kind of, because it gives your weapon doesn't lose durability, so it kind of gives it like this longevity. You can keep using it and get more value out of deadly poison. So this deck's almost like found a way around using Kingsbane. And other than that, it's running the Elven Minstrel, and that is it. So you've got 4 cards total in here from Kobolds, and other than that, you have pretty much just a standard tempo rogue. Not even a Keleseth rogue, which is also crazy.
Yeah, no, this set just seems kind of underpowered, and power creep is a big issue in card games like this, and honestly, it's kind of refreshing that we're not seeing that in Hearthstone so much, because when the rotation happens and a lot of things leave standard, Kobolds cards are definitely going to rise to the top. So there's no need to to have that power creep happening that a lot of card games fall into.
Right.
Because just don't make shit overpowered, and eventually when the overpowered shit goes away, the other shit will be good. So
the only problem I can see with that, I definitely see where you're coming from, is I would just say a lot of the overpowered shit is from Ungoro and Knights of the Frozen Throne. Those are going to remain paired alongside Kobolds. Obviously, we are going to lose everything that came out the year before, but
we're losing Karazhan, Old Gods,
Old Gods, and oh my goodness, we're so bad at this. Every time we can never remember.
There's one more, right?
There is one more. It's 3 a year. Oh my gosh, it's killing me. Can't think of it.
Karazhan, Old Gods. What are the expansions?
Let's take a look at the next list, and maybe there's something from it in there that'll spark our memory.
Okay.
Mean Streets of Gadgets in. That's
Gadgets
it. You see, I can see. I found it on Mistress of Mixtures, the little brass knuckles there on the background.
So goodbye Kazakus. Goodbye everything that's a potion. Goodbye.
You're right. I mean,
Jades?
An archetype will die when that set goes out. Yeah,
many
Jades and Razakus Priests are probably 2 of the biggest ones that are going to die when that rotation happens. But we're still going to have Death Knights.
Buff.
What's that?
Hand
buff. Man, that was the dominating archetype for like the last 2 years.
We never got to say hello to hand buff, unfortunately.
But we're still gonna have the Death Knights, which maybe they'll see even more play after stuff like that is gone, especially Jades.
Sure.
So, but let's take a look at this Dragon Priest, which is really interesting. This is number 3 here on Metastats, and it is a Razakus Dragon Priest with Keleseth. So it's like everything.
All the packages.
Basically every package. So I'll just run down the list. It's kind of long since it is a Highlander deck, but Crystalline Oracle, Firefly, Mistress of Mixtures, Northshire Cleric, Potion of Madness, Power Word Shields. You got a decent amount of 1-drops in there, kind of defending your early game. Prince Keleseth, obviously, you just want to get that as early as you can. Acolyte of Pain, Curious Glimmerroot, Dragon Slayer is an interesting inclusion, but it makes sense because Priest is a little weak to Dragon minions, not being able to clear them with Dragonfire Potion and such. Cabal Talon Priest, just a good card. Lone Champion. Here we have another Kobolds card, which I totally saw this getting played in decks exactly like this, where you basically want to run another Tar Creeper. So, I mean, basically just fills that slot.
Tar Creeper number 2.
Shadow or Death. Twilight Acolyte. This is one of my favorite cards from Kobolds, personally. I think it's just a really interesting effect. This is the 3-mana 2/4 Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, swap this minion's attack with another minion's. So you're giving another minion 2 attack and stealing whatever it is. I managed to make this a 6/4 and, you know, make like a 6/6 a 2/6. It's incredible when it happens. It's a really good swing card.
It reminds me of Vol'jin, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It also reminds me of Paladin removal, which is usually just making a big minion weak.
Right, with the Outdoor Peacekeeper, humility, and stuff like that, definitely. Yeah. It's kind of like Vol'jin and Outdoor Peacekeeper smashed together. It's just a really great card. Another really great card here, of course, Duskbreaker. If you're holding 4 mana 3/3 dragon, if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all their minions. Just gives you tempo and a great AoE. Kazakus, of course. Twilight Drake, it's solid 4-drop. Cobalt Scalebane, this is just, 5 mana 5/5, crazy ability. It's a dragon. It's good. Draconid Operative, of course. Harrison Jones. This is almost, to me, an auto-include, at least, an Ooze or Harrison Jones, if you have him, in pretty much any deck. I mean, everybody at this point is at least experimenting with these legendary weapons. I've seen it come down. The Warlock weapon come down several times, actually, and it's good just to be able to take that out. Cabal Song Stealer, Raza the Chained, Bone Drake, Dragonfire Potion. Skulking Geist is something that's still kind of popping into decks, especially with Druid decks still using the Jade Idol at this point.
Yeah, you gotta get those Jades out of there.
Yep. Psychic Scream, of course, just a great.
I forgot about that card.
Board wipe edition. You can't. It's cut off at the bottom there, but 7 mana, shuffle all minions into your opponent's deck. Primordial Drake, Shadow Reaper Anduin, and Alexstrasza, which is kind of interesting new inclusion there. But you want to have as many, in a Highlander deck, it's hard to have consistent dragon activations, so you've got to look in other places, some clever places to find new dragons. Bone Drake.
What are our legendaries in this deck? Because I feel like I'm close to being able to make it.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legendaries. Keliseth, Kazakus, Harrison Jones.
Got him.
Raza the Chained.
Don't have him.
Shadow Reaper Anduin.
Got him.
Alexstrasza.
Got him.
So you just need to craft Raza. But, I mean, he's rotating out in the next 4 months, so...
He is, so that's not happening.
This is interesting. I actually, for the homebrew segment today, I actually brought a Dragon Priest that's not Highlander. It's just one that I cooked up kind of late last night. But I did actually make it a Keliseth deck also.
Are we doing homebrew?
Oh, no, that's right. We didn't actually manage to get the images. But I did. I will just talk about it right now. I made a version of this where basically just cut out the whole Razakus package and double up on all the good dragons like Scalebane and... the operative, and you pretty much have the deck that I made. Keliseth just stood out to me. It made a lot of sense, mainly because of the card Duskbreaker. You want this deck to have a lot of tempo, and you want to control the board with it, but if you're running a card like Duskbreaker, which is a great card, you don't want to load up the board with minions before you play him, because then he's just going to nuke them all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what would be a great thing just to play in the early game? Well, Keliseth, then everything that comes down's bigger. And when it happens, it is pretty nasty, because, your Draconid Operatives or Boulder Fist Ogres on 5, and it gets pretty nasty.
Oh, yeah.
So, moving on, we'll take a look at this. Number 4 deck here is Aggro Paladin, which... Very sad for you. Yeah, well, it's exciting, but also sad because no Linessa in this deck.
Oh, no, I would never have expected her to be in an aggro paladin deck.
Right. Yeah, I guess
7 mana.
Yeah, really just
I
a mid-range card.
I don't think you want to go past 6, honestly, for the top of your curve.
And they haven't, so they have just,
but it does run Valinir.
It does, yeah. Valinir and Sunkeeper Tarim are the top of the curve there. I mean, Valinir makes a lot of sense to me in a deck like this.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Otterus Veteran, Argent Squire, Lost in the Jungle, Patches the Pirate, Righteous Protector, South Sea Deckhand, Direwolf Alpha, and here our first Kobolds card is Dry Gulch Jailer, which we talked about this one. I'm not
interesting.
Yeah, not exactly sure what specific purpose this is serving in the deck, other than kind of just like the same sort of purpose that Firefly.
I would take out Drygulch Jailer, Direwolf Alpha, and Knife Juggler and put in Keleseth.
Really?
Absolutely.
And just like fill out the rest of the curve in different places.
Yeah, maybe some Firefly, some vicious Pterodax or whatever he's called.
It probably would end up like having the potential to be stronger, but also a little less consistent, is what I would think.
Yeah. Also on the fence about, I like to have Leroy at the top of my curve, because you don't want to get stuck. I'm assuming this is running 2 Divine Favors. Yeah. You don't want to get stuck with a Divine Favor and a Leroy and a Sunkeeper in your hand, and then your Divine Favor is just worthless until you can ditch those cards.
Right.
And especially with something like Leroy. Leroy's the one card in an aggro paladin deck running Divine Favor. He's the one card that gets stuck in your hand because he 95% of the time has to be the card that kills them. So you're not dropping him until the game's over. So anyway, you're going through the deck list. I'm dropping all my paladin theory crafting on you.
Yeah, that's cool. So after Drygulch Jailer there, you got Knife Juggler, Divine Favor, Rallying Blade. Unidentified Maul is an interesting one to have in here too. I didn't really think this was gonna see the light of day, and it's interesting to see it in there with Rallying Blade instead of True Silver Champion. Which is kind of nuts to me because, True Silver is just such a great card. But I guess maybe it's because the 4 slot is taken up by Blessing of Kings and another Kobolds card called Arms, which is the 4-mana recruit 3 minions that cost 2 or less, which, is pretty much the most incredible card that Paladin got.
Yes. I don't have any. I'm going to have to craft them.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, they definitely need to be in any aggro to mid-range deck. It's just so good. Then at the top of the curve here, Leroy Jenkins, Sunkeeper Tarim, and Valinir. So once again, taking a look at this list, how many Kobolds cards do we have? There's 2 Drygulch Jailers, 2 Unidentified Mauls, and 1 Valinir. So you got 5 Kobolds cards. That's not, honestly, I guess that's not a bad
it's more than most,
representation of Kobolds in this deck. I think Paladin did really well in this set, one of the best.
I agree, and I hope that this causes a change in the aesthetic, in the flavor of Paladin, to where we're not running mindless, psychotic fish monsters in our deck anymore, and we're actually running, fucking Holy Knights and stuff.
Yeah, Holy Knights are cooler than fish. I've always had a problem with Paladin in this game, to be honest. I don't like it as a Murloc class. It's kind of weird as a secret class. I could at least accept that, but Murlocs, I'm sick of Murlocs at this point, honestly.
I don't, what? Murlocs are the least noble race in Azeroth. Why the fuck were they Paladins need more? And also, Paladins are the least stealthy race in Azeroth. So they're Paladins need secrets. I would be totally fine. Now that rogues have secrets, I'd be totally fine if they reworked every single Paladin secret into a spell that did something similar, but wasn't a secret anymore.
Right. Or, I feel like one of these days they're going to have to revisit Classic and kind of shake up what is part of that evergreen set for every class. I feel like that's going to happen someday. I don't know if it's anytime soon, but maybe at that point they'll decide to put this round of Rogue Secrets and any new Rogue Secrets they may or may not make in the future and shuffle that into the classic set. But who knows? All right, up next, Secret Mage. This is one that I've been interested to try. Haven't yet. I've made a Elemental Mage that is interesting, but I want to try this one out mainly because of Explosive Runes. That's one of the most interesting cards in the set to me. I really like it.
Yeah.
But this is pretty standard. I honestly probably not even going to read through this whole thing because this is almost card for card the exact same tempo secret mage that we've already seen. It is running Cabal Lackey because now you actually finally have a secret that you want to get out on turn 1, which, I mean, Explosive Runes is just going to take care of anything and deal some of that extra face damage there.
Yeah.
So it does have the Cabal Lackey in there. That Mana Worm, Arcanologist, you got your Frostbolts, your secret package with the Medivh's Valet. The secrets you're running are Counterspell, Explosive Runes, and is that it? Wow. Just Counterspell and Explosive Runes. Not seeing any. Oh, no, Mirror Entity. Mirror Entity down there. I missed that one. Kirin Tor Mage, just, for your slightly better Cabal Lackey. And the Cabal Crystal Runner, and topping off your curve with Firelance Portal.
Looks very tempo.
Yeah, you know how many Kobolds cards are in this deck? 2 copies of Explosive Runes.
Wow.
So again, that's just another example of just a card almost designed to just fit right into an already established archetype. Just slides in there and just makes it a little bit stronger. That's what I feel exactly has been the effect of Kobolds. Other than the couple of new archetypes that it has spawned, like Spell Hunter and the new sort of round of Dragon Priest. This is mainly the effect I think the expansion's had.
Yeah, it definitely seems so. It's really weird because if this set had been full of just not even overpowered, but just very, very competitive synergistic cards with things that we've already had established, and people, if half the cards were something that people said, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this, then they probably would have sold more packs.
Right.
And more pre-orders. You didn't pre-order. I didn't pre-order. But that's a short-term play for them versus a long-term play of saying, we want our game to be a balanced game. We want this to be fun, and we don't want to drive people away, and we want new people to feel welcome.
Right. So,
this is gonna. I'm going back to business school here, which I forgot most of, but it's like 10 times easier to keep a current customer than it is to find a new customer.
Right.
So you don't want to drive people away by making this game imbalanced. They want to have a good game. That's why, honest to God, that's why we like Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Is definitely. Because it is a good, balanced game. I mean, obviously anything's going to have its flaws, and luckily they can nerf them digitally because it's an online game. Mm-hmm. So I think that's smart. They could have probably made, thousands of dollars more if they had made some really broken shit in this expansion, but they didn't, and it's going to keep the game just at the power level that it is, and then when things rotate, these cards will find their place. Yeah,
I agree. No, I hope that's the way it plays out, honestly. That you're right. That is the better play, is to try to focus on the game's overall health. Rather than, we're going to make a legendary for every class that's so strong that everybody's going to need it if they want to play that class. Or they're going to be completely destroyed without it.
And that's why they banished things to the museum or whatever they called it.
The Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame. Oh, that's going in the museum.
Oh, yeah. We're going to put that in the museum. Breaks it.
Yeah. Oh, Harrison. I still wonder how much he's going to get played. I mean, we've only seen him in one deck so far, but Priest does always seem like the easiest one to fit a Harrison in, and it is in Priest. So we'll see if Weapon Destruction starts seeing more play, but...
Priest is definitely the class where you can just put a fucking bunch of random cards in and still win somehow.
Yes, it is. You're right. So here's kind of the new the new Zoo Warlock. It's very different than the Zoo Warlock that we were seeing played before Kobolds. So I can definitely say that this is an archetype that's been shaken up quite a bit by Kobolds, and I think we all saw this coming because the cards that it got are very strong. So if you remember pre-Kobolds Zoo Warlock, it was running Blood Reaver Gul'dan at the top, so it still had like all this late game value built in. It was a Keleseth deck. It ran, a bunch of demons and discard synergy, not the full discard synergy package, but enough to cycle through the deck and basically try to get you to that final push with Blood Reaver. This is much more in line with a more classic version of Zoo Warlock, where they just try to kill you as quickly as possible and screw anything that adds value to the deck. So you've got Fireflies, Flame Imp. The Kobold Librarian is one of the best cards Warlock got. I mean, especially for this kind of archetype. 1 mana, 2/1. Battlecry, draw a card, and deal 2 damage to your hero. I mean, that's just a great card. I mean, 1 mana, 2/1, cycle.
Outrageous.
This is good. The 2
1
damage.
mana, 2/1, activate your hero power for free.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's doing. Malchezaar's Imp, so you do still have that's discard cycle built in with the Soulfires and the Doom Guards later on.
And 1/3s are just good for 1 mana.
Yeah,
so.
Malchezaar's Imp's a great card. This is basically
Demon?
like Northshard Cleric for Priest.
Yeah.
So you have the Soulfires, Voidwalker, Direwolf Alpha. Direwolf Alpha is coming back in a big way with these more aggro cards. We just saw it in the aggro Paladin, so the Wolf's getting let out again. Then we got Vulgar Homunculus is another one of the best cards that Warlock got. The 2 mana, 2/4 taunt, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to your hero. Again, it's totally a reasonable drawback for the stat line on this minion. I played not quite exactly this list. I was kind of trying to play a list more in line with the Blood Reaver Gul'dan version. And this is just a really great card. It's helped a lot.
The card's amazing.
Blood Fury Potion is an interesting one here. I don't think this has seen much play in the past. 3 mana, give a minion +3 attack and +3 health if it's a demon. Obviously, a ton of these cards are demons, so you've got great targets for this, especially something like Vulgar Homunculus.
Little mini kings.
Yeah, exactly. Darkshire Councilman, of course, this is just like a staple in Zoo Warlock. 3 mana, 1/5, gain +1 attack when you summon a minion. South Sea Captain is in here, and I guess it's just for patches because there's no
absolutely.
there's no other
two patches.
Yeah,
man, I love patches. I really do. I think it's a card that resonates with me on a spiritual level. But I don't like how he's so easy to use that it ruins. Like, thematically, this whole deck makes sense, except for the 3 pirates.
Yeah, you're right about that one.
It's like, why are there pirates hanging out with like all these like demons and shit? It's just, I don't know, it's weird to me because he's so easy to include because there's so many decent pirates. So
I mean, honestly, like 95% of the time, if I was running this list, I would draw patches before I ever got to drop one of those South Sea Captains.
That's the thing. I can't justify putting patches in a deck when I'm only running 2 pirates. Like, that seems... Because it's like a 33% chance. Every 1 in every 3 games, you're going to get patches before you get another pirate.
Yeah. I wonder how consistent
Unless a 1/1 charge isn't setting you back that much.
I guess it's not. I mean, maybe this deck list will change up as the meta settles. I mean, obviously, this is all extremely raw data that we're looking at here. So, I mean, this could not be the final construction.
Definitely.
But it's not a chance I would personally take. I would just swap those cards out for something else. I love to run Tar Creepers.
Demons, probably.
No, actually, I really love to run Tar Creepers in these early game aggro decks because they protect all your little homies. It's worked really well in the Zoo Warlock I was playing before Kobolds came out. So I'm going to tinker with this sort of an archetype as well, but it is running double Doomguard and Leroy Jenkins, so you've got a lot of charge face damage built in here, along with the patches.
Excessive.
Yeah, and then double Sea Giant at the top of the curve there, trying to cheat this out early with all your low-cost minions there. So
yeah, this deck really wants to just tempo through the roof if it can.
Right. So even though there are only 4 cards from Kobolds in this deck, the cards are so strong and just well suited to Zoo Warlock in general that they've completely changed the entire archetype of the deck, which is pretty cool.
I'm gonna try this. This looks fun.
Yeah, this definitely looks fun.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Mid-Range Hunter. It's interesting to see Hunter getting played a lot more ever since Kobolds came out, which it's pretty nice to see it being represented on ladder. So you got 2 copies of Candle Shot in this deck. I guess this weapon's better than I thought it was going to be, because this is the second deck and that it's been in, and it's running 2 copies.
Well, okay. So Light's Justice was a 1-mana 1/4.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you weren't immune.
Right.
Does the fact that you can... Okay. 3 mana for 1 damage. We're looking at like... Or, sorry.
1 mana
One
for 3
mana
damage.
for 3 damage. Yeah. We're looking at Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
Or... I don't know, like... Leper Gnome. Like, there's not... There isn't a lot in this game that provides you with 3 free damage for 1 mana. You know, you don't take any damage. You don't get overloaded. If you're 1 damage shy of killing something, which early game, that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
There's the obvious synergy with Hunter's Mark, too. I mean, you get to free kill any minion in the game without taking damage.
You're just like, Lich King, you're at 1. You're dead.
Yep.
Like,
take it out. So I think that's probably the reason. It is just the synergy with Hunter's Marcus is so awesome. But you were just saying how 1-mana 1/3s are really strong in this game. Well, here, a vanilla 1-mana 1/3 just because it's a beast here in mid-range.
Dire Mole.
Dire Mole. It's an interesting move for them to make this like neutral 1-mana 1/3. Because we've all known for a while 1-mana 1/3s are great, right? Like Northstar Clerics, Malkazar Zimps, they're just good cards. And they were just like, you know what? Here you go. 1-mana 1/3s for everybody. But it's especially good for Hunter because it's a beast.
It is the sigil of House Hufflepuff of Westeros. The Dire Mole.
So this is going to be a really similar thing to the Zoo Warlock, where all this is very on brand for beasts, except for the patches and wait, where? Oh no, where are the other pirates in this? South Sea Deckhand.
South Sea Deckhand.
That's it. Yeah. So you got that 3-card patches pirate combo there, and then we're back to beasts. Crackling Razor Maw, Galaka Crawler, which, I mean, I guess is to combat all the other pirates running around, but at the, worst comes to worst, you could, throw down patches, charge them to face, and then eat them. Get a 3/4 beast.
Yeah, sure.
Kindly Grandmother, Animal Companion, 1 copy of Animal Companion, which is interesting. I guess
that is very strange.
Yeah, well, they've swapped it over to Bear Shark in the 3 slot, which is a great card.
I guess as far as consistency is concerned, Bear Shark is more consistent than Animal Companion.
And not being able to be targeted is particularly strong.
That's almost charge, because he's probably going to live. and he's got 1 more health than Huffer. And he's doesn't have the stats of Misha, but then Leok is only good when you have minions out, so maybe the consistency of Bear Shark kind of makes it the better play.
And you can still hit it with Houndmaster, which is one of the main reasons that card is so good. Eaglehorn Bow with no secrets, it's just in there just to hit face or take out some minions. Flanking Strike, again, I mean, not surprised at all to see this in every Hunter deck. I mean, this is just an incredible card. Cobalt Scalebane, just kind of finding its way into these mid-rangey aggro decks, just a buffed the attack of stuff like, early game minions like your Dire Mole. All of a sudden it's a
solid
threat.
card, and he survives Dragonfire Potion, so...
Yep, and then for the late game where you're getting outvalued, you got the Deathstalker Rexar. Savannah Highmane, of course, is just a staple in Hunter decks, unless they have no minions in them. And Bone Mare, which, we all know about Bone Mare. How OP that card is.
Yeah, Bone Mare's stupid.
Yeah. I still like the card, but it's finding its way into a lot of decks, that's for
sure. I'm always a tempo player, and Bone Mare. I found that, in the early days of Hearthstone, we were saying aggro and control, but I feel like now it's tempo and value.
Yeah, they are kind of interchangeable in a way, but I do think aggro and tempo are different things. Like, aggro decks aren't always, great for tempo. Like holding the board.
I feel like tempo is more of a relevant thing in Hearthstone because the game works off a higher health pool.
Right.
Whereas in Magic, if you were aggro, you could say, fuck value, fuck card advantage. I'm just going to kill you as fast as I can. But in Hearthstone, tempo is saying that you not only did something before, you're outpacing your opponent.
Yes.
But you're outpacing them in a way that is more permanent or meaningful.
Right.
So it's not just throwaway stuff.
Right. I'm just saying that there is maybe less and less as this game progresses, but there's definitely a distinction between cards that are very aggro and cards that are tempo-oriented. Like the one that keeps popping to my head for some reason is Wolf Rider.
Oh, sure. Pure aggro.
Yeah. Cards that have all been nerfed. Like, basically, they've taken a hard left turn away from cards that are geared around aggro. Look at every card that's been hit with nerfs in the past. You've got Abusive Sergeant, Leper Gnome.
Yeah.
All these cards that were just in these archetypes, like the old Face Hunter that used to just burst you down with chip damage. Hearthstone's just gone completely away from that. So we pretty much are at this point left with tempo or value.
Yeah.
And a lot of cards provide them both. Like, look at Duskbreaker. And it's kind of like striking the right balance between the two is the current, like, the puzzle to solve for deck building.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's good because I think that aggro control is Magic the Gathering's identity. And I think value tempo is Hearthstone's identity.
Right.
And it's cool that even though they are so similar at a surface level to the untrained eye, they're actually quite different in the way that your resources interact with your opponent's resources, whatever they may be. So
another thing that you always have to bring up when you're comparing the two games, though, Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, is that our mana gain in Hearthstone is automatic, and it's something that you start to take for granted. Another reason why very, very low cost, low curve decks do well in Magic the Gathering is because you are punished less for the RNG, basically, of not getting what you would equate to mana crystals in Hearthstone. They're called mana or land. And you have to draw those cards. It takes up your turn. You would have to, like, think about playing Hearthstone and having to draw your mana crystals. That is what you have to do in Magic. The game's a lot slower, and decks that try to go for a lot of value or just having control components sometimes get punished hard by not getting their land.
That is a design intricacy that I think Magic is unique for. Because, when everybody's running a 60 card deck and the control deck is running 23, 25 lands and the aggro deck's running 18 to 20 and every card you draw as the aggro deck is just damage. It's pure power. Every card you draw is designed to kill your opponent and for a very low price. So once you hit 3 or 4 mana, you're good. You don't want to draw mana. You don't want any more mana crystals after turn 4. Like
Right.
you're set. Like everything else after that just needs to be killing power.
Yeah.
So that is a unique design choice of Magic, and it's that and the health pool, and the fact that minions can directly attack each other. Those are the 3 things that make Hearthstone and Magic vastly different.
You mean they can directly attack each other in Hearthstone, not Magic?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Those are the big differences, and those are the background, mechanics that are directing the different directions that the games go in. Why are we seeing them back away from these hyper aggressive decks that can ramp up damage really quickly? Probably because your mana gain's too consistent in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
And you're able to be too efficient that way. They want you to have to actually fight for boards, stick minions, generate a little bit of value while you're trying to do it. Yeah. And that's exactly where it seems like the game's going.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at these last 3 decks here and see what else is getting played. I was expecting to see Lanessa in this Control Paladin list, but it still hasn't made it in. So we got 2 Paladin decks on the top 10 of deck lists being played right now, and Lanessa's not in either one of them. In this one, we do see Dry Gulch Jailer again. I'm not seeing what the appeal of this card is. I'm really not. I guess I have to see it in action or something. But getting 3 Silverhand Recruits in your hand, I'm not conceptualizing why it's awesome. I mean, I do see the Steward of Darkshire in here, so I mean, getting the 3 1/1s with Divine Shield, I mean, it sounds good. You got the Rallying Blade. It seems like one of those things that we would think about and be like, man, that would be so strong, and then it just isn't. But for some reason it is right now.
Yeah.
But it's got all these Silverhand Recruit generating stuff on the low end here. You got Lost in the Jungle, Dry Gulch Jailer, Hydrologist for secrets, the Divine Shield synergy, Steward of Darkshire, Rallying Blade, and then it starts to kind of get more into the control-oriented cards like Stonehill Defender, getting you those second copies of Sunkeeper Tarim and Tyrion, Wickerflame Burn Bristle for that early aggression, Consecrate, of course. Lightfuse Stegodon is interesting to see in here. I mean, obviously you can make a lot of Silverhand Recruits with the Dry Gulch Jailer and Lost in the Jungle, so I guess that's pretty good. I mean, getting Poisonous or something on those things is pretty brutal.
Seeing Lightfuse Stegodon in a deck is mind-blowing. I like this. This looks fun.
Yeah, it's even got Level Up in here, which, I mean, I don't know. Already at this point, I'm on the fence about this. It is in the 8th slot. I don't really know what the win rate looks like. I think there's win rates a little bit farther down on the page there, but I'm not a big fan of the Level Up card in general. But maybe it's doing well. Stand Against Darkness is even in here. I mean, we're seeing cards that just have never really seen much play. Crystal Lion, I mean, that's an obvious include. This is a Kobolds card, of course. 6 mana 5/5 with Divine Shield that costs 1 less for each Silverhand Recruit you control. So
it's like a thing from below for Paladin.
Yeah.
Except you actually have to have the thing on board. Wow.
Yeah, you can't just... It's like the number of Silverhand Recruits you've summoned the whole game. Then it would be a
fucking shaman. Fucking shamans.
Yeah, that's a good comparison that you draw. And also, it does... I mean, it has Divine Shield, which is better, but it's still 6 mana 5/5. So, dang. I didn't even like draw
card,
that
honestly.
It is, but it's not as good as Think from Below. Now that you pointed out, it's really not.
Now that you pointed out that any totem you fucking summon, throughout the whole game discounts him no matter what.
Yeah. Spike Ridge Steed, Sunkeeper Tarim, Vine Cleaver. So just as many Silverhand Recruits as we can possibly get, and Tyrion.
Put your face in the light.
Yep. So
this doesn't even scream control to me. This is mid-range, I think.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit more mid-rangey to me as well.
There's no rag, no lay on hands.
Yeah, I don't even see the equality combo for the Consecration.
No equality. No
Pyromancer.
No Pyromancer. Yeah.
So I don't know if
this
this is
mid-range.
possibly like mislabeled a little bit.
You're not running Lost in the Jungle, Righteous Protector, Drygulch Jailer, Hydrologist, and it's not mid-range.
Yeah.
Like that's
I agree with you. I don't know. I don't know where that
but that looks fun, and I have
archetype
a lot of that.
name
So
came
I'll
from.
probably fucks with it.
This is definitely a control deck here, though. This control Warlock. It's got pretty much every big heavy card they have. Still running the Kobold Librarians because again, this is a 2/1 that allows you to hero power for free. Mistress of Mixtures, Mortal Coil, Blood Mage Thalnos, Defile. This card is nuts. Defile is one of the craziest cards they've gotten in a while.
Defile is ridiculous.
Tainted Zealot, which is pretty much exactly to combo with Defile. Vulgar Homunculus in this one too. I mean, it's great for Zoo, but it's also still a great card just to, protect your face. Taunt Creeper. The Spellstone is in this deck, so you get back with the lifesteal later on what you lose playing stuff like Librarian and Homunculus. Despicable Dreadlord and Dreadlord. I am not able to talk. Dreadlord, Skull of the Minari.
He's a big fat demon.
Here is actually in this deck, and I mean it has some decent targets to throw into play. The best one's probably the Void Lord here, but you also have the Abyssal Enforcer, or even just getting out of Dreadlord, for free after you pay the upfront 5 mana. I guess is good enough, but you could also end up top decking and throwing out a Vulgar Homunculus or something. I don't know. Yeah. I guess it's good enough to run. Then Rin is actually in this deck, which is surprising to me. I've actually played against this deck before. I was playing just hyper fast. I think I was actually playing my version of Zoo Warlock and just killed this deck really quickly. So I'm not sure how it establishes itself or whatever, but I would be interested to see if this deck can actually pull off playing all the seals, or I mean, do they just run this as a 3/6 taunt with a little bit extra value?
I think the strength in Rin is that it's a value card, and I think that the final seal is just BM.
Right, yeah, if you ever get it, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, again, I have very little experience with this deck personally. Siphon Soul, Abyssal Enforcer, Twisting Nether, Master Oakheart is really interesting to see. It's a neutral legendary, 9 mana 5/5, Battlecry, recruit a 1, 2, and 3 attack minion. Those minions certainly are in this deck. I think...
Yeah, I guess...
It's a great way to cheat out a Void Lord.
He doesn't have immune to spell damage, and he doesn't have Divine Shield, and he doesn't have a lot of health, but that card is basically saying, don't fucking kill this guy. And you can't let a 5/5 hang out forever.
Well, no, it's a battle cry.
Oh, it's a battle cry?
Yeah, so.
Oh, that's pretty fucking good then.
I think that this deck, now that I'm looking at it, even though Tar Creeper has 3 attack on your opponent's turn, it has 1 attack on your turn. So that means that as long as you haven't drawn them both, when you play Master Oakheart, you are guaranteed to recruit a Void Lord, because Void Lord is your only 3 attack minion in this whole deck. So
is he basing it on attack?
Yes, attack minion. Recruit a 1, 2, and 3 attack minion.
Oh God. Oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
I thought he was Death Rattle, summon 1, 2, and 3 cost.
Oh wow, yeah, you had that all twisted.
Yeah, so he's Battlecry, summon 1, 2, and 3 attack.
Yes. And then once you cheat out your Void Lords and stuff, then you bring them back with Blood Reaver Gul'dan at the top of your curve.
This looks very powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just like the, Reno decks of old. You've got to kill them quickly or have the reach to finish them off after they build their wall, because they're going to build a wall.
Oh, yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Crazy deck.
Yeah. Finally, there is a once and for all an Awaken the Maker's Quest Priest deck with N'Zoth.
Oh.
one of the only Kobolds cards in here is the Gilded Gargoyle, which is the 3-mana 2/2 Death Rattle. Add a coin to your hand, which I don't think it's an incredibly powerful minion, but the coin helps with, the heavy top end that this deck has.
Well, if Shadow Reaper Anduin's in that deck, then it helps with the hero power.
It is
no,
not.
he's not.
He's actually not in this deck, which is
silly.
Pretty crazy. It's running 2 copies of Psychic Scream, which I guess you're kind of trying to, stick these early Death Rattle minions like Crystalline Oracle, Blood Mage Thalnos, Loot Hoarder, the Gilded Gargoyle, copying them with Mirage Caller, just to build up those counters on Awaken the Makers, and then, basically let all that stuff get killed off, resummon it with Twilight's Call, you're summoning 2 more minions, getting closer to completing the quest, and then, if your opponent ever manages to completely push you off board, you've got Psychic Scream to get back into the game, finish it off with N'Zoth.
Maybe the idea is even you can Psychic Scream your lower priority N'Zoth targets into your opponent's deck, so that they don't become part of the resurrection pool.
That's true too. That could definitely be true. I mean, I think a lot of them are going to end up just dying naturally before you play Psychic Scream.
Dying of natural causes.
Yeah, the Loot Hoarder. He's going to get old one day. We all do. Yeah. It's going to happen. Yeah, this is interesting. This is one that I would like to try. I especially like seeing Carnivorous Cube in here, which was a card that always caught my attention looking at the cards early on. Just 5-mana 4/6, destroy a friendly minion with Death Rattle to summon 2 copies of that minion. You got great targets for that in here, obviously, like especially Twilight Summoner is pretty much your main target for that.
Oh, yeah, number 1.
Yeah.
Cairn's not a bad target.
No, Karen's a great target. I mean, any of these minions are at least decent. Crystalline Oracle.
They're all Death Rattle, so obviously you're going to get some benefit no matter what you eat with your cube.
Yep, and then you poop out 2 copies of it, and you're happy.
Not bad.
So those are the top 10 of what's going around right now. I think a little bit further down here we can take a quick look at win rate. Right at the top here, you've got 3 different versions of Spell Hunter with great win rates.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. This is kind of maybe the resident sleeper of the set here. I didn't see personally Spell Hunter being this effective. But, we've seen archetypes be really effective at the beginning of an expansion before, certain counters are figured out. We'll see if this sticks around. Tempo Rogue still doing really well. And Dragon Priest holding its own. I mean, Dragon Priest seems like it's going to be exactly how it was back in the day when Dragon Priest first became a thing with Blackrock Mountain. It's going to be kind of like a middling deck with it's consistent, and if you manage to stick your minions and outvalue your opponent, you're going to win.
Yeah, but that deal 3 damage to everything guy. Well, is it all non-dragons or just every other minion?
Every other minion.
So that's very not tempo. Because you're going to kill your own shit. So
so
much more of a control card.
What you want to do though is not be super on board in the beginning of the game, which is exactly why I included Kelseth in my version, and I think why Kelseth's included in this.
Makes sense.
So basically, your goal is not to stick minions early. Your goal is to stick minions hard in the middle to late game.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of Old School Dragon Priest, but not exactly the same, because you're right. The Old School Dragon Priest used to stick whelps and really try to take board right from the beginning.
Yeah, the Old School Dragon Priest was very tempo.
Yeah, this tries to catch up a little bit, but it still is a decent tempo play for a board wipe. You're still getting a 3/3.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then way down here at the bottom, you've got your Control Paladin, Dragon Priest, another version
to give
of Dragon
that aggro
Priest.
Paladin a try.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a decent win rate. It says, I have no idea what this word here means. Bayesian win rate. And then actual win rate. I'm just going off actual win rate.
Because I'm not Bayesian, are you?
No, I'm not patient.
So we have
54% win rate. That's pretty good. So
yeah.
All right. Oh, here's the deck of the day. It is the Spell Hunter. So hey, look at that. We already went through this one. So if anybody wants to check out these stats, take a second look at any of these decks or grab the codes or anything. This is metastats.net that I pulled all this from, and there's no Data Reaper report. There's no Tempo Storm meta snapshot, of course. At this point, since the expansion's brand new, this is the place to kind of go for now. And then there was one more deck that I wanted to talk about because I actually had a chance today to watch a little bit of Savich's stream while I was at work. And he was playing this really interesting deck that he called Miracle Druid because it's running the Gadgetzan Auctioneer like Miracle Rogue does do when it's being played. And he was absolutely wrecking people with this deck, and it was really interesting. Especially since it kind of its goal is to ramp to 10 mana crystals and start getting incredible value stuff out, but it doesn't use Twig of the World Tree, which I definitely thought was going to be something that a deck like this would play. But basically, it's just doing exactly what Rogue used to do, running these zero-cost spells to combo with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer once you get it later on. So you've got Innervate, Moonfire, 1-mana spells, Earthen Scales, just one copy of Jade Idol. Because it was really interesting how he was playing the deck. Is he would not start summoning Jades until he was basically decked. Which was super interesting. This was just the infinite engine just kicked in at the end between Jade Idol and Auctioneer. And his Jades would go from, 1/1s or 2/2s straight to like 6/6s in one turn. It was pretty gross. Naturalize, Wild Growth, Wrath, Jade Blossom, Mire Keeper, all of the mana ramp stuff. And I guess it's, there's enough mana ramp not to have to use Twig of the World Tree for something like this. Nourish, Spreading Plague, Malfurion the Pestilent, double Ultimate Infestation. Again, the deck's not worried about decking itself because you've got the infinite Jade Idol engine. And the Arcane Giants in here are great to just cheat stuff out. And one of your personal favorite cards from the set as far as neutrals go, the Arcane Tyrant's in there. The 5-mana 4/4 that costs 0 if you cast a spell that costs 5 or more.
Yeah, good old Arcane Tyrant. Just coming out and being a 4/4 for free.
What's really interesting interactions that occurs between Arcane Tyrant and Lesser Jasper Spellstone and Ultimate Infestation is that if you draw Arcane Tyrant off Ultimate Infestation, it's free. And if you draw Lesser Jasper Spellstone off Ultimate Infestation, it is upgraded instantaneously.
Look at that fucking tempo! That's what I've been saying.
So there you go.
Yeah.
This deck, it was just a blast to watch him just like shred through people with this deck.
Tempo AF.
It's just like ramping, drawing, ramping. He would deck so fast, and then all of a sudden you've just got these giant Jades.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
The counter to this deck, if it's catching on though, is just to run a Geist. It just takes out the Jade Idol and all this stuff is done.
Just blow them out.
Yep. So that is that.
That's it for our meta discussion.
Meta discussion. Yeah, pretty much. Since neither of us have been much on ladder, and there hasn't been much of ladder for Kobolds as of yet, anyway. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thoughts?
It's I feel like we've poured out many thoughts in between deck discussions, such as this set being possibly not underpowered, but just on par with things, so that the game doesn't suffer from power creep and in turn become a bad game.
Yeah, we don't want that. We want the game to be a good game.
Yeah, we do want the game to be good, because if it's not, we won't fucking play it. So,
okay, so that was our Kobolds meta talk and such. Before we do our Card submission challenge, which we do every week, of course. We have one question that we got from Stefan Essen today, who asks us, will you ever do something like an EU special? Like stream at a reasonable time for Europeans and conquer the EU ladder in the name of Salty Dog? Probably not, but a man can dream. I totally don't see why not. Conquering the EU sounds great.
Yeah, we should definitely take over Europe in the name of imperialism.
No, that is a great idea, actually. It is tough to work with time zones. I mean, Dookie and I are constantly having issues with that, and having to be like, oh, well, it's 5 my time, but it's 8 your time, and everything's inconvenient. So I definitely understand how that is for people who, this isn't a great time, our normal stream time. So that's definitely something, as we go into the new year and expand how much we're streaming, definitely something that we will keep in mind. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, idea. Definitely. It doesn't matter necessarily when we do the stream, because the podcast is going up permanently. So,
yes,
whenever we do it is just when we're live, and then otherwise anyone can still listen to it after.
Definitely. Yeah, so it'd be something that we can definitely do sometime. Some kind of special Steph Van Essen stream, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
All right, so I will remind everybody what our card submission challenge was last week and what it is just in general. We every week at the end of the show, we give you a prompt to create a certain type of card, whether it be like last week's challenge, which was to redesign a legendary weapon for a class that you're not very happy with the weapon that they got from Kobolds and Catacombs. Just some basic rules for the submission challenge if you're interested in doing it. You can submit up to 3 cards. One card can generate 3 cards. We pick the 6 winners, and if you guys are here live with us, you guys get dibs playing with us in games if we have time after the show. Like I said, cards can spawn 3 other cards. Cards are judged both on creativity but also balance, so we don't want cards that just instantly win the game for you or too underpowered, because those aren't fun, right? We were just talking about this. Kobolds could end up making this meta a lot more fun because all the cards it introduced are very balanced cards, and that's what we would also like to see. Please, if you can, submit your image in a PNG. It's a lot easier for us to put it into the show, and it's really easy to do on hearthcards.net. I've heard that it does something weird on mobile, so if you're trying to make the cards on mobile, maybe use a PC or a laptop if you can. Just make it on there. It's really easy, and it's always a PNG when you save it. And the easiest way to submit it to us is just at our joint Twitter for the show, at Salty Dog Podcast. But if you would like, you can also submit it to either Dookie Shed or me at our handles that are right there, at Dookie Shed or at Clash, KLASHE_HS. All right, so moving right on, let's take a look at the cards we got from last week's submission. Recreate a legendary weapon.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate test.
Before we get into the weapons, though, there is just a slight bit of housekeeping we had to do because we actually messed up one of our submitters' submissions from last week. It was Steph Van Essen. We recycled a card that he had submitted to us a few weeks ago instead of using his new card, which was for Dookie's last challenge to create a recruit card. So we have his up here first for last week's submission. It is Yogg-Saron's Pet Kobold. 2 mana, 2/1, battle cry, recruit a spell. Which is very interesting take on recruit, and the targets of that spell are chosen randomly. So obviously, if you recruit a Flame Strike, it's just going to hit your opponent, but if you recruit a Firelands Portal, it could be hitting anything. I think this is a pretty interesting card. It might be a little overpowered just because of how strong spells can be, and the fact this is 2 mana.
You can definitely tailor the deck so that there are no targets that aren't devastating.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a neutral, this could go in anything and, pull out stuff like Spreading Plague or, craziness like that from other classes. Of course, the first one that comes to mind is Mage with all their crazy board wipes and stuff. But yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, even if this came out in Firelands Portal itself or your face or something, it's still good to get a 5-drop that early. So yeah. But it is an interesting idea.
Recruiting a spell is definitely an interesting idea.
Yeah, there is a card that the Grand Archivist in the Kobolds and Catacombs that sort of does this. It reveals a spell and casts it. It's like 8 mana, something craziness. Yeah. All right, so moving on to the submissions for this week, which was the Legendary Weapons one. Up first, we have Overlord CHS with Skull of Pain. I like how he redid the colors on the Skull of Minari and turned it upside down.
Yeah.
We have 5 mana, 0/3. Whenever you inflict damage upon yourself in any way, so with your hero power or cards or whatever, summon a demon that's mana cost is equal to or less than the damage inflicted. So you've got, I like the or less moniker on that, or whatever you would say, whatever. I like or less on the card because it would be too strong if it was always the exact mana cost of the damage that was dealt to you.
Right, it leaves it a little bit up to RNG, and it's not, you can't abuse it so much, Yeah. You can't be throwing out Pit Lords and having Doom Guards pop out all the time.
Right, sometimes it's just going to be a Flame Imp or a Blood Imp or something like that. But, I mean, just the fact that you're always getting a minion at all every time you take damage is really good. So.
Oh, yeah. And it's not an instantaneous benefit unless you play it and you have additional mana to use your hero power or do something else. But the fact that your hero power itself is just going to spawn a minion is pretty strong.
Definitely. Yeah, so, you would absolutely need to destroy this thing because the value would get out of control really quickly.
Absolutely.
All right, up next from Dougie Fresh, we have another... basically, we might as well reword this challenge to redesign the Warlock weapon, because that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
So, we have a Skull of the Minari, which is reworked to a 5-mana 0/3 at the end of your turn, recruit a demon.
There we go.
It's good, but it's probably too good, though, right?
It's probably too good.
But at least it is at the end of your turn, because one of the best targets for it would be Doomguard, right? And then the charge would not be useful on the Doomguard anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very similar to the current Skull of Minari, but it's definitely better, because it's pulling it out of your deck, not
you don't have,
out of your hand. And,
you're not dependent on having a good demon in your hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Possibly, maybe too strong, but I'm not even sure about that.
It's probably too strong.
Probably.
But, still, it's much, much better than the current.
Right. Maybe it could just be 6 or 7 mana, and then...
Yeah.
But I do like it better. Recruiting a demon's so much more interesting than throwing it out of your hand.
Yeah, and it's the keyword. It's the new keyword. So why wouldn't we do that?
All right, thank you for that one. Up next, we got Rents and who made the good Rune Spear.
Nice.
I like this one. 8 mana, 3/8 Wind Fury Lifesteal. So that is a ton. A 6 lifesteal a turn. And after your hero attacks, summon a basic totem.
Jesus.
I think this is too strong. That's my only problem with it. Yeah. So comparing it to Doomhammer, 5 mana to 2/8 or 2/6 Wind Fury, I can't remember. That used to come down in... What's that?
5 mana 2/8 for Doomhammer.
Yeah. So yeah, especially with the summoning the basic totems, I think that there's too much built into the weapon already. I like that it summons the totems though. I think that's the part that I like the most. The fact that it's the Wind Fury and the totems. So maybe bump this back down to a 2 attack, maybe take off the lifesteal, and I think that's closer to where it needs to be.
Yeah, because Doomhammer does have overload. So
exactly.
Yeah. The life. I mean, the trouble with Wind Fury is the more minions you're smacking, you're just taking tons of damage.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could stay on there. I do think the attack needs to come down a little bit. I mean, getting the 2 totems is pretty damn good in and of itself.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that, and I like that it synergizes with what Kobolds and Catacombs has been trying to promote, which is this totem-centric shaman style.
Right.
You know?
Which I don't think they pushed it hard enough for it to catch on, though. So
no, it's not going to do shit.
This would be something that, actually contributes to that archetype.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's weird that it doesn't, because usually, like, what we're seeing is that the weapons they create are to go with the archetype they're pushing for that class. You've got the warrior legendary weapon that recruits, which is kind of the warrior thing right now. Like, they're recruiting big minions. And you've got the priest one, even though it's not getting played, it summons dragons, which is kind of the archetype they're pushing for priests. So not really sure where this whole rune spear thing came from for, discovering shaman spells. Kind of weird.
So yeah, in World of Warcraft, shamans can't even use pole arms. So I don't know what this fucking rune spear thing's all about.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
At least they couldn't when it was good.
Maybe every class can just use everything now.
Maybe now in the new and ruined World of Warcraft, they can use pole arms, but
all right, up next, from I'm a Dragon, we have Skull of Gul'dan, which was totally your suggestion from last week.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember. 6 mana, 0/3. Whenever you play a demon with a battle cry, trigger it for your opponent instead. This, I think, is really clever.
That is clever.
So you've got Flame Imp, deal 3 damage to your opponent. You've got Doomguard, make your opponent discard 2 cards at random.
Pit Lord, deal 5 to your... Yeah.
So...
Wow. That's good.
It's a combo piece, so I mean, you do have to have the cards to combo.
I feel like we
it.
have a winner.
Yeah, this is really good.
This is good.
Because
those cards, Flame Imp's not bad. Doomguard's not bad. Pit Lord is arguably not bad. And you could run a deck with those cards. Succubus.
I mean, these cards already get played.
So many.
Vulgar Homunculus and
the new Homunculus.
The Kobold Hermit and, all that stuff.
Yeah, so you get this on, and actually, if you're running all these self-destructive cards that are super high tempo, by the time you get this, you're going to be dominating the board, but you're going to be low health, and then by the time you get this, you're going to be able to turn that around on your opponent and really put it to them. So, yeah, no, this is really cool. This is an insanely good. Whose was this?
This is I'm a Dragon.
Oh yeah, theirs are always amazing. Yeah, theirs are always really good. So yeah, this is a good fucking.
Yeah, I like the idea behind it, and you can't. I mean, there are certain things that you could combo with it that would be really devastating the turn you played it, but it gets really crazy if it comes back around to your turn, because that's when you really get to screw them over.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's a weapon, so odds are you're still gonna have it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like it might be a little bit on the crazy side, just because of how bad those drawbacks are. I mean, think about it's really the discard effect.
At 6 mana, you're past your Doomguard turn. So this is probably a 6 mana do nothing turn.
Yeah, it is. Definitely a 6 mana do nothing, yeah.
You get to just wreak havoc. Wreak havoc.
I do like it. It's really cool. All right, up next we have Skull of Illidan. It's so many warlocks.
It's all the warlock.
So we have when one of your minions dies, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Death Rattle, give all minions in your deck -1 attack and shuffle it back into your deck. I like the idea behind it, but I think that the upfront ability, especially for 1 manas, is too strong. You're basically just hand buffing every turn if you can stick a minion every turn. Like, You know, the 2/1, the 1 mana 2/1, and you know, just get crazy like Keleseth value in your hand.
Yeah, this would.
Yeah.
Well, it is just minions in your hand.
It is, yeah, but I mean, you know, hand buff has worked out in the past. Stuff like, I mean, certain. Hand buff decks.
This is hand buff without having to blow a bunch of cards on doing it. And then
I think it's just it's so easy to stick minions that are easy to kill with Warlock though, and then buff all the other ones.
And then Death Rattle. When will this ever die? Like your opponent will never kill this.
Probably not. I mean, there is some there is some weapon hate running around, but maybe
but they don't want to.
Right.
Because it gives all minions in your deck -1 attack, so your opponent would. Well, no, I guess they would want to.
Oh yeah, they want to nerf your deck. Oh, by the way, this is from Aoricos. I don't know if I said who was the submitter.
Oh, sorry, I was misunderstanding this. Yeah, Death Rattle, it nerfs your deck, so yeah, your opponent. Yeah, sorry, your opponent would want to kill this.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
maybe it should actually take a durability away every time it triggers, so that Death Rattle actually becomes inevitable.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
That I think that would make it balanced enough.
Yeah, that would balance it out.
Yeah, but I like the idea behind it. It's very cool.
Maybe less durability on it. Maybe like 3.
Yeah, like 3 or maybe 4, but yeah, probably 3.
Yeah.
It's for 1 mana. It should really just the 1 mana. I mean, you increase the mana cost, then you know things can change a little bit.
Good. Yeah.
All right, up next from Lekman24, we have Skull of Manaroth. So, just rounding it out here with another Warlock
That's
weapon.
a good lore one, though.
Yeah, I do like this the lore reference there. You can tell the story after I read the card here. So we have
all right, let's see if I remember it.
6 mana 0/4 Battle Cry. For every demon in your hand and deck, the weapon gains +1 attack up to a maximum equal to the number of demons you've played. At the end of your turn, if you played a demon this turn, recruit a demon with mana cost equal to the health of the demon played.
So what's it do?
Okay, so yeah, it's like a formula here. So, let's say you play this and you have 4 demons in your hand, but you've only played 2 demons this game, then it'll have 2 attack. But if you have 4 demons in your hand and you've played at least 4, it'll have 4 attack.
Gotcha.
Right? And then you recruit a demon whenever you play a demon at the end of your turn.
Okay. And it is 6 mana, so
yeah.
That's
and it's
not
the health
outrageous.
of the demon that determines the mana cost of the demon that you recruit.
Yeah.
So like if you threw out Lakari Fellhound, you'd recruit an 8-drop if there even is such a thing as an 8-drop demon. I don't think there is. So that's a build-around card because it doesn't say that or less. It says that cost. So if you hit a mana cost, it's not going to trigger, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting that this weapon gets attack because if you're using it for removal, then after 4 hits, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So you have to balance whether or not you want the benefit of the recruiting or of the attacking.
Right.
But it is an incredibly complicated card.
It is. It's definitely something you would have to think a lot about. It's like, okay, what's the attack going to be when I play it? What demon am I going to get out of my deck if I play this demon? So I like it. I do. I like cards that make you think. And it's definitely a build around card too. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see that like actually in play.
Oh, definitely.
All right, thanks to everybody who sent us cards.
Manaroth was the demon that Gul'dan tricked the orcs into drinking the blood of Manaroth.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's actually what turned the orcs green because the orcs were originally brown. So they became filled with this demonic fell fury, and then Medivh, who was under the control of the demons, opened the dark portal. Medivh was under Gul'dan's control. He opened the dark portal, letting the orcs in from Outland, which was called Draenor at the time, into Azeroth. And these were not the orcs that you know today that the Horde consists of. These orcs were filled with blood rage. So they were just, crazy, homicidal, killer, battle, murder savages.
The reason the Alliance was formed.
Yeah, yes, the reason the Alliance was formed. Except the Alliance can't fucking get past that shit, even though the orcs are totally like a noble, peaceful, honorable race now. But well, maybe not peaceful, but definitely honorable. So eventually Grom, Hellscream, and Thrall fought Manaroth. And or was it Grom and Thrall? It was Grom and shit. I think it was Thrall. It was either Thrall or Broxigar. But Grom fucking cleaved Manaroth's head in two. And if you're in Orgrimmar and you go up to the Valley of Honor? No. Spirits? The one where Thrall's keep is. It's not Thrall's anymore, I guess. But the one where the fucking capital is. Manaroth skeleton's up on a big rock over there. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Basically, he was to blame for the whole insanity that started basically Warcraft. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean Gul'dan pretty much was to blame, but yeah,
but it wasn't without Manaroth's blood.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't have
Manaroth
worked.
into it.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he was so into it.
He was getting hard on that shit.
All right, thanks for everyone who submitted cards. We always appreciate it. Up next, we are going to do Dookie Shed's card that he created for my challenge.
Oh, yeah.
So there she blows.
My card is called Pride and Greed, and there were these fist weapons you could get during Wrath of the Lich King. I don't think they were shaman only. No, they weren't, because that wasn't really a thing in WoW. But they were definitely shaman... they appealed to shaman stats.
They were teched for shaman.
They were teched, yeah. So Pride and Greed were these two wolf head fist weapons, or bear head. I don't know, some kind of fucking awesome beast, and they just looked so cool. And I always loved it when I saw a shaman, an enhancement shaman, walking around with Pride and Greed on their arms. So I decided to rework the shaman weapon completely into Pride and Greed. So it's a 7 mana 1/8 with Wind Fury, and it has Death Rattle to cast Bloodlust. So you always have this Bloodlust. Obviously you need to attack for 4 turns, but you have this Bloodlust sitting there waiting. So it creates this mind game between you and your opponent. When are they going to wipe your board? When are you going to pop your weapon? And the fact that you've got Wind Fury for the rest of the game means that you can throw something like Rockbiter Weapon on yourself or anything else that increases your attack, which I can't think of if there are any in Shaman.
I mean,
besides
Naga
Rockbiter?
Corsair, Captain Greenskin, stuff like that.
Yeah, so you'd make a pirate Shaman deck for sure and, with this thing. And then, when the time is right, you just Death Rattle it, get your Bloodlust, and kill your opponent.
Yeah, it makes sense.
This just reminds me of all the times we were raiding, and we had a shaman with us, and we always had what was procs. He was enhancement, and they were good enhancement shamans, before he came along, and just I always liked that spec, and I always liked the Bloodlust idea.
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't played Warcraft before, Bloodlust, I mean, obviously it's a card, but Bloodlust, where it gets its roots from in Warcraft, it was this crazy spell where shamans, it had a long cooldown, but shamans could pop it, and it would hit everyone in the raid. So if you had 10 people around, it would buff them all, and it was just like a crazy attack damage, spell damage, and haste, spell haste, and attack haste buff. So it made this like funny sound when they used it. It was like
it does it in the game. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
and everybody would get like a little bit bigger, and like there was like this red aura, and like you would just like go nuts. Like your spells were just flying out like crazy. Everybody's like hammering down.
And it was always during cool. like a phase of a boss where like you needed to push them through that phase really fast. Mm-hmm. So we'd have the shaman pop Bloodlust during that phase, and then you know try to push them through it.
It was pretty crazy.
So, that's where pride and greed come from, and that's why they do what they do.
Right on. All right, for mine, I decided to straight up just like do the same thing. I did the priest weapon, of course. I decided for it to do, the same thing, but just try to make it fit the class a little bit better, because I don't know where cast 3 spells in one turn came from, but that's never been anything the priest has ever done or tried to do before. So I'm not really sure why that was the mechanic they went for. So I changed just a couple things about this. First, I made it 2 mana. I think that the priests being able to do something on turn 2 is a good thing. So just being able to throw this down on 2, get it equipped, it would be nice. It just feels better to me on 2. And then the condition for summoning the 5/5 dragon is, instead of playing 3 spells in a turn, restoring 10 health to characters during your turn. That doesn't mean it all needs to hit the same character. It could be your opponent's characters too. Like, just the total amount that you can heal in one turn has to add up to 10. So it sounds difficult, but there are actually cards that can get this done really easily. So there's Circle of Healing, Greater Healing Potion, Holy Nova could be
even Spirit Lash,
a piece of it. Spirit Lash, healing your face. So I thought this fit the class better. It gives a little bit of leeway for using cards like Greater Healing Potion. It's not 4 mana do nothing anymore. It's 4 mana. If you've got this equipped still, you get a 5/5 dragon when you use it. If you get at least 10 of the healing to hit you. I just feel like this fits Priest way better, and it's a build around card. You have to include cards that you might not otherwise use, and get a little bit of extra value out of it. So that's where I went with it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I like this a lot better than the current Dragon Soul, because that's only happening when you're in free hero power, Shadow Reaper Anduin, and not every priest is gonna do that. Like, that shouldn't be what priest is locked into. Mm-hmm. And even then, you're gonna run out of spells. Like, casting 3 spells a turn, it's hard, even when you're casting cheap ones, getting ones off of Lyra, refreshing hero power, all that shit. It's still not easy to cast 3 spells a turn, and that's we're talking late games. So the current Dragon Soul seems weird to me. So this is still a challenge to make it happen. If you don't have 10 missing health on yourself, you can't just Greater Healing Potion yourself and get this.
Exactly.
If there aren't enough minions out, you can't just Spirit Lash. You can't just Holy Nova. Like, there's 10 health has to be missing somewhere, and then you have to put it back. You
have to piece it together. Yeah.
But it's interesting from a lore standpoint, all these things that they're calling weapons, because I feel like it equates to artifacts in Magic. Mm-hmm. Because the Dragon Soul is not a weapon. The Skull of whatever is not a weapon. The Twig of the World Tree is not a weapon.
Right.
A lot of if it's like a mage staff or something like that, that's a weapon in WoW. Mm-hmm. But these things are just powerful artifacts. So
right.
Weapon is a loose term, and they have 0 attack, so it's like, it's not really a weapon, is it? It's just like a thing that kind of sticks around.
This thing literally looks like a necklace. I mean,
it is I don't even know if it is a necklace. The Dragon Soul is what Deathwing wanted to get a hold of, and I think he did. Because it just, I don't know, makes dragons swole. something.
It makes dragons swole. You know what else? You know what? I didn't even think of this at first, but I am thinking of it now. Is you could run cards like greater or a corrupted heal bot. Just like, because it's an overstated 5-drop, and then when it pops, it's going to heal your opponent's face for 6 and contribute to the Dragon Soul summon. So or 8, it actually heals it for 8. So
yeah, and then you just heal your own face, and boom, you got it.
Yeah, boom, dragon.
So, this makes much more sense.
Oh well, golly, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that about does it for episode 28. Hope you enjoyed this show. We enjoyed talking about kobolds, and I'm anxious to get in there and actually have a chance to play more of this game, since I haven't had a chance yet. But Dookie, why don't you tell them where they can find us and such?
You can follow us on Twitter at Salty Dog Podcast, or you can follow our individual Twitters. Mine is at Dookie Shed. Clash's is at Clash_HS, KLASHE. And just give us good ratings wherever you're listening to us. If it's iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever we're on, any podcast
we don't
app.
know where we're at.
I don't even know which apps have accepted us into their fold, but wherever you're hearing us, give us that old thumbs up or 5 stars, or peanuts or whatever their rating is. I don't know what they are, but
oh my god.
I do believe it is my turn to come up with the
It is. So while you think about it, I'm gonna do the part that you forgot to do here, and shout out your Twitch. Dookie has his own Twitch where he is streaming. He's trying to stream more regularly, I believe, on twitch.tv/Dookie Shed. I'm sure you guys all know how to spell that, but just in case, DOOKIESHED. Check him out. He plays Hearthstone sometimes.
Is it time?
It might be, unless you're not ready.
I'm thinking, man.
So I'm really tired right now because this morning I had to get up really early and I had to go get my blood drawn. And it was a sad time for me because I had to get up really early and I had to go and I had to wait in line. And then at the end of it all, she wasn't even a good artist. So
wow. She couldn't even draw a good blood?
No. I didn't even put it on my fridge.
Damn. How hard is that? You just click paint bucket, get red, drew some blood.
She did not draw my blood well.
All right, next card challenge. Create a card with blood in it.
Blood in the name?
Blood in the name, blood in the picture, blood in the text, blood anything. Put blood.
I'm so glad
card.
that my story is the inspiration for the next challenge.
Blood card. Make a blood card. You can summon bloods with it. You can summon...
we already have one. Blood of the Ancient One.
Blood of the Ancient One. Blood Reaver Gul'dan. I'm sure there's more.
I don't think they appreciated my joke. Come on, chat. All right, we're going to end this before it gets even stupider. So stick around if you want to hang out on our post-show gameplay stream. But until next time, guys, stay salty.
Stay salty.